Absolutely. Here is a great, deep and detailed summary of the rule of Muizuddin Bahram Shah, 1240 to 1242, explained in the simplest and clearest way, as if you're learning with zero background knowledge. This summary covers everything important step by step, with extra details to make it crystal clear. Who was Muizuddin Bahram Shah? Bahram Shah was the third son of a powerful king named Iltutmish, who ruled during the Delhi Sultanate, a time when Muslim sultans ruled much of northern India. After Iltutmish died and other people fought for the throne, Bahram Shah was chosen to be king in 1240 CE. Why was he made king? Bahram Shah wasn't made king because he was brave or smart or loved by the people. Instead, he was made king because he's easy to control. The real powerful men, called the Turkish nobles, also called Turkish maliks and emirs, wanted a king who would not interfere, a king who would let them make all the decisions. So they chose Bahram's strict condition. You can be king in name, but we will rule the country. What did the Turkish nobles want? The Turkish nobles were military leaders, commanders of armies, rich landowners, and close friends and supporters of the late King Iltutmish. These men had more real power than the king because they controlled the soldiers, they had money and influence, and they acted together as a group. They told Bahram Shah, 1, he would only reign, sit on the throne, 2, but not govern, not make big decisions, 3, the nobles themselves would govern and rule the country. What did they do next? To keep control, the Turkish nobles created a new job in the government, Mamlikat. Naib means helper. Mamlikat means kingdom. So Naibi Mamlikat means deputy of the kingdom, someone who would act like a king, but officially under the king. They gave this powerful job to a man named Ihtiyaruddin Aytigin. Aytigin was one of their own people, a Turkish military leader. He now became the real power holder in the kingdom, even though Bahram Shah was the king. What happened to the wazir? The wazir, named Muhazabuddin, was like the chief minister, head advisor to the king. Even though he had real importance, his position became secondary because now the Turkish nobles and the new deputy, Aytigin, were the ones who ruled. Final result, full control by Turkish nobles. This time in history shows total control by the Turkish military aristocracy, which means aristocracy, rich, high-class people who have power by birth or by military strength. These Turkish nobles controlled the king, controlled the military, controlled the government, and made all major decisions. The king, Bahram Shah, was only a symbol, like a doll wearing a crown but having no voice. What kind of rule was this? It was a puppet rule, where the king appears to rule, but the real control is in the hands of others. Military oligarchy, a government controlled by a small group of army commanders. Extra note, why did this happen? The Delhi Sultanate often had power struggles after a king died. Nobles and army commanders wanted to protect their own power. They did not want a strong king who might reduce their influence. So they chose weak rulers like Bahram Shah and ruled through them. Final simple summary in one paragraph. Muizuddin Bahram Shah was the third son of Iltutmish and became king of Delhi in 1240, but only on the condition that he would not actually rule. The real power was in the hands of the Turkish nobles, military leaders and aristocrats, who created a powerful new post called Naibi Mamlikat, deputy of the kingdom, giving it to one of their own, Ihtiyaruddin Aytigin. The wazir, chief minister, Muhazabuddin, lost influence, and Bahram Shah was left as a puppet king. This marked the complete control of the Delhi Sultanate by the Turkish military nobles. Would you like a timeline, character list, or a diagram to make this even clearer? Clearer and easier to understand version of the entire story of Sultan Muizuddin Bahram Shah's fall. Every step is explained like you're learning it for the very first time, as if you're hearing a dramatic story from a master storyteller. Who was Bahram Shah? Became Sultan of Delhi in 240. He was the third son of Iltutmish, a great ruler. But unlike his father, Bahram was not strong or clever. He became king only because the powerful Turkish nobles wanted a weak ruler they could control like a puppet. Power behind the throne, Aitijin. When Bahram became king, real power was not with him. It was with a man named Aitijin, who was made Naibi Mamlikat. That means deputy of the empire. Let's compare this. Bahram was king in name, like a puppet. Aitijin equals real boss, pulling the strings. Aitijin didn't stop at being just a deputy. He began to use royal music at his gate. Only kings could do this. Own elephants. Again, a royal symbol. Marry the king's sister, making himself part of the royal family. People began to act more like the real king than Bahram. Bahram kills. Bahram felt threatened. He said, if I allow this to go on, I'll be just a name, not a ruler. So Bahram ordered Aitijin to be murdered secretly. Yes, Bahram won for a short time, but he didn't realize he made many powerful enemies that day. Another powerful man, sunk after Aitijin's death, no new deputy was appointed, but another man took control. Badruddin Sunkar. Sunkar held a job called Amiri Hajib, which means Lord Chamberlain, kind of like the manager of the palace and court. He was also part of a famous and powerful group called the 40, a group of 40 Turkish nobles who had great control over the kingdom. Sunkar now took over all the power Aitijin had, became the real power behind the king. Battle between Bahram and Sunkar. Bahram again saw that he was being sidelined. He got together with his prime minister Wazir Muhazzabuddin and they planned to remove Sunkar. Sunkar, on the other hand, was planning to overthrow and maybe even kill the king. But the Wazir secretly told Bahram about the plot. So Bahram, 1, fired Sunkar, sent him away to a city called Badaun. Sunkar made a huge mistake. He returned without permission. Bahram had him arrested and executed. The nobles get angry. Now things got worse for Bahram. The Turkish nobles, the 40, were angry. They didn't like how Bahram was killing powerful nobles like Aitijin and Sunkar. The ulema religious leaders were also angry. Bahram had ordered the killing of one of them. Even his own prime minister, Wazir, was angry. He had his own grudges and wanted to see Bahram fall. All of these powerful people started working together in secret to remove Bahram. Mongols attack Lahore, 1241. While all this was happening, a new threat appeared. The Mongols, a powerful warlike group from Central Asia, invaded Punjab and surrounded Lahore. Bahram sent an army to save the city. He also sent the Wazir along with the army. The final betrayal. While travelling with the army, the Wazir told a lie or exposed a secret. He told the officers, "The king has secretly ordered your arrest and execution." The army officers were shocked and furious. They now hated the king and decided to take revenge. Instead of going to Lahore, they turned back and marched toward Delhi. Fall of Delhi and death of the king. The citizens of Delhi tried to fight and protect their city, but they were no match for trained soldiers. The army defeated the people and took the city in just one day. The king Bahram Shah was captured. In May 1242, he was put to death. What does this story teach us? A weak king can't survive in a powerful empire. Powerful nobles can control the throne if the king is not strong. Killing powerful men might solve a short-term problem but create long-term enemies. Jealousy, mistrust, and destroyed Bahram's rule. A king needs the support of his nobles, army, and religious leaders. Bahram lost all three.
Would you like these next? No.
Timeline chart of events. Character map showing relationships and enemies. Dialogue version like a drama play or cartoon script. Comic strip part 2 of this story. Let me know. I'll make them with the same simple and clear style. Of course, let's go deeper, but still keep everything super simple and very clear. We'll break down the background, the people, the events, and the results even more so you understand everything. Think of this as a full, rich picture of Alauddin Masood Shah's time as Sultan. Background. What was happening before Masood became king? India at that time was ruled by the Delhi Sultanate. The Sultanate was mostly controlled by Turkish rulers and nobles. The most powerful sultan earlier was Iltutmish. After Iltutmish died, there was a struggle for power. His son, Rukn-ud-Din Firoz Shah, became king, but he was weak. So the Turkish nobles became the real power behind the throne. Who were these Turkish nobles? They were called the 40 in Persian Chalgani. These were 40 powerful men, like ministers and army chiefs. They were originally slaves or soldiers trained under Iltutmish, but became very powerful. They did not want one of them to become king because they were jealous of each other. No one wanted to let another noble have full power. Alauddin Masood Shah, why he became sultan. The nobles wanted a weak and easy to control sultan. So they chose Masood Shah, a young boy, grandson of Iltutmish. He had a royal name but no power of his own. They told him, "You will be called sultan, but you will not make decisions. We will rule." The power structure under Masood Shah. Role title, person power level. Wazir. Sultan. Alauddin, just a title, no power. Malik Kutubuddin Hassan. Appointed but weak. Wazir Muhazabuddin, real power holder. Later Wazir Nazim-ud-Din Abu Bakr, replaced earlier Wazir Amiri Hajib. Gaining power. Fights outside the court. At first, the Wazir had more power than the Naib. This made other nobles angry. They felt left out. So the Wazir was removed, fired, and replaced by another one. But this power struggle weakened the kingdom because everyone was fighting for control. Who was Balban and why is he important? Balban started as a low-level noble, but he was very intelligent, strong-minded, good at managing people. He got the post of Amiri Hajib, an important palace job. Slowly, Balban became more powerful than others, even though he was not at the top. He used smart tricks, stopped fights among nobles, focused everyone's attention on common enemies, like Rajputs, Indian warriors, Mongols, fierce invaders from the north. This made him a respected leader, even more than the Sultan. Who were the outside enemies? 1. Rajputs, brave Indian kings who often fought with the Delhi Sultans. Balban led campaigns, military attacks to stop them from rising. 2. Mongols, warriors from Central Asia known for destroying kingdoms, were a serious threat to India during that time. Balban helped protect the Sultanate from them. The condition of the kingdom under Masood Shah. Thanks to Balban, less fighting inside the court, more focus on protecting the empire. People had a few years of peace and order. So even though Masood Shah had no real power, the kingdom was more stable than before. Final results. Masood Shah ruled for 4 years, 1242 to 1246. His rule was calm on the outside, but he was only a puppet. The real rulers were the nobles, especially Balban. Balban's smart actions saved the empire from breaking apart. Later, Balban himself would become Sultan and become one of the greatest rulers of the Delhi Sultanate. Bullet summary. Masood Shah became Sultan only because he was easy to control. The real power was with the nobles, especially a group called the 40. There was a power struggle between ministers and nobles. Balban rose to power during this time. Balban united the court and focused on fighting outside enemies. This brought peace and order during Masood's rule. Masood was Sultan only in name, but his reign was less chaotic than others. Would you like a timeline chart, a character map, or this entire summary as a story or play for even easier understanding? Let me know and I'll make it. Absolutely. Here is the great, deep and detailed summary of the entire passage you gave, written in very simple, easy to understand language. but with complete explanation of all the important events, people, and what it all means. Deepest detailed summary, 1240s Delhi Sultanate politics. Internal trouble continues. Even though the Delhi Sultanate, the kingdom ruled from Delhi, had a new sultan after earlier chaos, peace did not fully return. There were jealousies, fights, and secret rivalries among the nobles, governors, and generals. Everyone was thinking about their own power instead of helping the kingdom. The kingdom falls apart. The kingdom began to break into pieces. Many areas no longer obeyed the Delhi Sultan. These areas were ruled by powerful governors or outside leaders. Let's look at the details. 1. Tughun Khan, governor of Bengal. He refused to follow orders from the Delhi Sultan. He declared himself independent, as if saying, I am the king of Bengal now. He even conquered Bihar next to Bengal and attacked Awadh, modern-day Uttar Pradesh. This shows how bold and rebellious he had become. 2. Multan and Uch, western cities. These cities also broke away from Delhi's control. They ruled themselves, ignoring the Sultan's power. 3. Saifin Kahalu, 1245. He was an outsider, not connected to Delhi. He saw that Multan was weak and captured it in 1245. This shows that even foreign leaders were now attacking parts of the Delhi Sultanate. 4. The Mongols return. The Mongols, famous for their brutal invasions, came back into northern Punjab. They tried to surround the city of Uch to take control. But Delhi sent a strong arm to stop them, and the Mongols had to retreat. Balban rises to power. Amidst all this trouble, a very smart and capable noble named Balban slowly started to become the most powerful, though he wasn't king yet. He was strong, clever, and disciplined. People began to respect and fear him. He was getting ready to control things from behind the throne. A secret plan conspiracy. Balban didn't wait long. He made a secret plan along with Nasiruddin Mahmud, a prince, son of former King Iltutmish, Nasir's mother. Together, they planned to remove Sultan Masud from power and make Nasir the new king. A new sultan. The plan in June 1246, Sultan Masud was removed, deposed. Nasiruddin Mahmud was made the new sultan, but Balban had the real power. He controlled everything behind the scenes, while Nasir sat on the throne like a puppet king. Final deep insights. This period shows how weak the Delhi Sultanate had become after Iltutmish's death. Governors were acting like kings, not loyal servants. Foreigners like Saifuddin and the Mongols took advantage of Delhi's weakness. Balban saw this weakness and used smart planning to rise to power. Instead of taking the throne immediately, he placed a puppet king and ruled quietly, preparing for his full control later. This marks the beginning of Balban's journey to becoming one of the most powerful rulers of the Delhi Sultanate. Would you like me to now show this in a timeline of events? A comic strip with visuals? A character relationship chart? A cause-effect flowchart? Let me know how you'd like to continue learning this. I can also help explain what happens next in this historical story. Sure, let's now go even deeper, section by section, and expand each part with extra clarity, examples, and explanations in the simplest words possible, like the world's best teacher guiding a beginner. Who was Nasiruddin Mahmud? He was a ruler sultan of the Delhi Sultanate, a Muslim kingdom in North India. He ruled from 1246 to 1265, about 20 years. But even though he was king, he actually controlled the kingdom. He was a king only in name. Others ruled in his place. How did he become king? Before Nasiruddin became king, there was a lot of fighting over power. Let's imagine it like this. The king sultan is like the captain of a ship kingdom. But after a strong captain, Iltutmish, died, many crew members, nobles, wanted to steer the ship. So they kept choosing weak captains who agreed to sit quietly while the crew actually controlled everything. In 1246, the nobles picked Nasiruddin Mahmud as their new captain king because he was religious, gentle and not power-hungry. They knew he would not fight them for control. This helped end the struggle between kings and nobles. The nobles won. They had the real power. Who was really in charge? The true ruler was Ghiyasuddin Balban, a powerful noble. Balban was the leader of a group called the 40, a council of strong Turkish nobles. Balban made all the big decisions, managed the army, ran the administration. So Nasiruddin Mahmud was more like a symbol, a king for show, while Balban ruled the kingdom. What was Nasiruddin like? Let's describe his personality. Religious. He loved Islam, prayed regularly and copied the Quran. Humble and simple. He didn't care about luxury or showing off. Not interested in power. He didn't want to rule or command armies. Smart in his own way. He knew his strengths and weaknesses. So instead of fighting or acting like a mighty king, he lived quietly in the palace, avoided politics, helped the poor, did not, or generals. Story about his wife. People tell a story about how simple he was. His wife cooked his food herself. One day she burnt her fingers and asked him for a maidservant to help. He said, "No," he told her, "I am a trustee of the kingdom's money. I can't use public money for my personal comfort." This story shows his honesty, his simplicity, his deep religious thinking. But historians say this is likely not fully true. Why? His wife was Balban's daughter, a powerful noble's daughter. He had more than one wife and many servants. So it's hard to believe she had no help. But the main idea of the story is true. He lived a modest life and didn't misuse government money. Why did he stay away from power? Nasiruddin knew it was dangerous to try to become a powerful king. Let's break down why. 1. Nobles were too strong. They had the army, the money, and the support. 2. Inside the kingdom, Hindu rulers were trying to take back their lands. 3. Outside threats. The Mongols, who were feared all over Asia, were threatening to invade India. Nasiruddin understood. It's better to stay safe, be peaceful, and let others rule. So instead of risking his life in politics, he chose to stay king only in name. Let Balban handle everything. This kept him safe and let him live longer than many other sultans. But was he completely powerless? Not 100%. There was one interesting thing. Masood, Nasir's nephew, had earlier helped him become king. Later, Nasir joined Balban in a secret plan to remove Masood. This means he wasn't totally innocent. He knew how to play political games when needed. He had some worldly ambition but kept it hidden. He was wise enough to know when to act and when to stay silent. What happened after that? Nasiruddin Mahmud ruled peacefully for 20 years. That is a very long time for a sultan, because in those days, kings were often killed or overthrown. There was constant war and betrayal. But Nasiruddin stayed safe, died a natural death in 1265, was remembered as a gentle religious man. After his death, Balban himself became the sultan. Final full summary, easiest and deepest. Nasiruddin Mahmud became king in 1246, but he did not really rule the kingdom. The real power was in the hands of Balban, a strong noble. Nasir was a religious and simple man who liked to pray, copy the Quran, and help the poor. He gave up power willingly because he knew it was dangerous to fight the nobles. He avoided politics, lived modestly, and ruled peacefully for 20 years. Although he seemed weak, he was smart and careful. He is one of the few kings in that violent time who lived and died peacefully without war, bloodshed, or betrayal. Would you like me to create a timeline, a list of important characters, a chart comparing Nasir and Balban, a quiz with answers? Just tell me what you need. Here is the great, deepest, and most detailed summary of the passage you gave, explained in very simple words, but with complete understanding. Think of this as the perfect explanation, combining all important facts and clear logic to help you understand everything about Balban during the years 1246 to 1252, before he officially became sultan.
Full detailed summary. Balban.
The real ruler behind the throne, 1246 to 1252. 1. Who was Balban? Balban was a Turkish nobleman. He was once a slave but rose through the ranks to become very powerful in the Delhi Sultanate. He was a member of a special group of powerful nobles called the 40 Chalgani. This group had great influence over the sultans, kings, and how the government ran. Balban became the most powerful person in this group. 2. How did Balban become powerful? In 1246, the throne of Delhi was given to a young and weak king, Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud. This king did not have the skills or interest to rule properly. Balban helped him become king. As a reward, the young king gave all powers of ruling to Balban, meaning Balban was not officially king, called everything, like a puppet master behind the scenes. This made Balban the de facto one really in charge, even a king. What did Balban do with his power? Balban used his power in three major ways. A. He controlled the government completely. Balban acted as the real prime minister from day one. He was in charge of appointing people to important posts, making military and political decisions, running the court and administration. B. He filled key posts with his own family. To make sure only loyal people were in charge, he gave top positions to his own relatives. Khashlu Khan, his younger brother, was made Amir Hajib, Lord Chamberlain, the person who managed the royal palace and its security. Sher Khan, his governor of Lahore, and two important and strategic. This helped Balban build a strong personal network of loyal supporters. C. He became the Sultan's relative through marriage. In 1249, Balban gave his daughter in marriage to the young king Nasir-ud-Din. This made Balban the king's father-in-law. It made his position even stronger, both politically and socially. Being related to the king made it harder for anyone to challenge Balban's authority. 4. Official recognition of Balban's power. In the same year, Balban was officially given Naib-i Mamlikat, deputy of the empire. This means he was now formally recognized as the second most powerful person in the empire, just below the Sultan. Even though he had already been acting like the real ruler, this title made it official in the eyes of the court and people. 5. Balban's monopolizing power. The word monopolize means to take all the power and not share it with anyone else. That is exactly what Balban did. He removed other powerful nobles or made them unimportant. He trusted only his family and close friends. He used his power to help himself, his relatives, other Turkish nobles, the group he belonged to. This helped Balban make a strong foundation for becoming Sultan himself later. Final big picture summary, point explanation time period 1 1246 to 1252. Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud, young, weak and dependent on Balban. Real ruler, Balban the de facto ruler. How Balban rose, he helped Nasir become king, took control of government, powerful position, officially became Naib-i Mamlikat in 1249. Marriage strategy, married his daughter to the Sultan to gain royal family status. Family in government, gave top jobs to brother Khashlu Khan and cousin Sher Khan. What he did with power, strengthened his own position, helped Turkish nobles, removed rivals. Result, Balban became more powerful than any noble and even more than the king himself. If you'd like, I can now continue and explain what happened when Balban became the official sultan after 1252, in the same clear and detailed way. Would you like that?
Absolutely. Let's go even deeper into the explanation, adding even more historical, emotional, and political detail, all in the simplest and clearest language possible, like teaching a total beginner or child. We'll cover the background, the deeper causes, the meaning of each character's actions, and the lasting importance of this moment in Delhi Sultanate history. 1. Historical background. Before 1253. The Delhi Sultanate and the Slave Dynasty. The Delhi Sultanate was a Muslim kingdom in North India. In the mid-1200s, it was ruled by the Mamluk slave dynasty, founded by former slaves who had become powerful rulers. Many top leaders in this dynasty were foreign-born Turks, or Afghans, brought as slaves and trained in military and administration. These foreign nobles were powerful, proud, and didn't allow Indian-born Muslims or converted Muslims to rise easily in politics. Sultan Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud. He became king in 1246 CE, but was young, shy, and religious. He spent most of his time praying and reading the Quran. So, real power was held by his minister and military commander, Balban. 2. Balban's power and behavior. Rise of Balban. Balban was once a Turkish slave, but he became one of the strongest nobles in the kingdom. He was clever, ambitious, and very loyal to the idea of strong government. What Balban did as prime minister. He controlled the army, administration, appointments, and even the royal court. The Sultan, king, became more like a figurehead, someone who holds the title but not real power. Balban also filled key positions with his own relatives and loyal supporters, especially Turks. Problems with Balban. He was harsh, arrogant, and didn't respect the king much. He acted like he was above the Sultan. Other nobles, especially Indian Muslims, were unhappy with Balban's dominance. 3. The rise of Rayhan, a new face in politics. Who was Rayhan? Imad-ud-Din Rayhan was not a foreign Turk. He was born a Hindu, but converted to Islam and became a Muslim noble. That made him part of the group of Indian Muslims, people who were often looked down upon by the foreign-born Turks. What did Rayhan want? He wanted to break the monopoly of foreign Turks in politics. He supported Indian Muslims getting real roles in power. He saw that the king was unhappy with Balban and decided to act. 4. The coup of 1253. Step by step. Rayhan gathered a group of nobles and liked Balban. These included Indian Muslims and some sidelined officials. He convinced Sultan Nasir-ud-Din that Balban was a danger to royal authority. The king acts. The Sultan agreed. He dismissed Balban and his brother from their posts. They were ordered to leave the royal court and return to their provinces. New appointments. Rayhan became prime minister, Naib. Junaidi became wazir, finance administration head. Shamsuddin replaced historian Minhaj as the chief qazi, judge. Sher Khan, Balban's cousin, was removed as governor of Multan. These provinces were given to Arslan Khan, a Rayhan supporter. This was a overhaul of the government. Rayhans were now in all the top positions. 5. Backlash from Turkish nobles. Anger and name-calling. Turkish nobles were furious. They hated the idea of an Indian-born Muslim, especially one who used to be Hindu, rising above them. They wrote very insulting things about Rayhan in historical records. Renegade Hindu, meaning a traitor to his old religion. Usurper, someone who grabbed power wrongfully. Upstart, someone from a low background rising too fast. Conspirator, someone who plotted behind people's backs. But was that fair? No. This judgment was unfair and biased. Rayhan was a true Muslim and not a criminal. He simply used a political opportunity when the king was angry with Balban. He was a voice for Indian Muslims who had been ignored and disrespected for too long. He wanted a more balanced and equal administration. 6. Deeper meaning and importance. Why was this event so important? Because it showed the limits of foreign Turkish domination in India, the beginning of Indian Muslims demanding power, that even a converted Muslim like Rayhan could rise through skill and timing. A major shift in court politics, not just about religion, but about origin, identity, and fairness. What did Rayhan's rise symbolize? A turning point in the Delhi Sultanate's internal power politics. A silent revolution by the Indian Muslims, who had long been treated as second class even within Islam. The fear of the old Turkish elite that their control was being challenged from inside. Final deeper summary, point by point. 1. Balban, a powerful Turkish noble, became too dominating in the Delhi court. 2. Sultan Nasir-ud-Din grew tired of being sidelined. 3. Rayhan, an Indian Muslim who had converted from Hinduism, took advantage of this. 4. He formed a group and convinced the king to remove Balban. 5. Rayhan and his allies took over all major government positions. 6. Turkish nobles were angry because they saw Rayhan as unfit for power due to his Indian origin. 7. Rayhan was insulted in writings, but he was actually a loyal Muslim and clever politician. 8. His rise marked the first major challenge to Turkish domination and the beginning of Indian Muslim political awakening in Delhi. Would you like the next part of the story? What happened after Rayhan's rule? Or shall I turn this into a drama scene, comic strip, or a timeline for better memory? Sure. Here's a great, deeply detailed, simple summary of the reinstatement of Balban explained clearly like you're a total beginner, with added background, causes, events, and effects. Better than any textbook or AI could give you. Deep, simple summary. Reinstatement of Balban, 1254. 1. Background. Who was Rayhan? Imaduddin Rayhan was a converted Muslim. He was born a Hindu, but later became a Muslim. He rose to a very powerful position in the Delhi Sultanate during Sultan Nasiruddin Mahmud's rule. He became prime minister, or the de facto, real, head of the government around 1253 CE, pushing aside Balban, who had earlier held that power. Rayhan was clever and efficient, and the common liked his rule because he may have been kind or fair to them. 2. Problem. Turkish nobles were angry. At that time, the Delhi Sultanate was mostly controlled by Turkish nobles, people of Turkish origin who had helped establish or rule the empire. These nobles thought of themselves as superior and didn't want an Indian Muslim like Rayhan to rule over them. They didn't care that Rayhan was Muslim. They saw him as an outsider, not part of their elite Turkish group. So even if the Sultan supported Rayhan, these nobles refused to accept him. 3. Balban returns, the Turkish Nobles Act. These powerful Turkish nobles joined forces and chose Balban, a former top leader, as their commander or spokesman. In 1254, they gathered their armies and marched toward Delhi, the capital, to pressure the Sultan into removing Rayhan. 4. Sultan Mahmud gives in. Sultan Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud was still technically the ruler, but he was weak and scared. When he heard the Turkish nobles were coming with their armies, he took his own army and moved near a place called Samana, possibly preparing for battle. But he lost courage, didn't want a civil war, and decided to make peace with the Turkish nobles. He agreed to dismiss Rayhan as prime minister to stop the conflict. 5. Rayhan removed. Rayhan was not killed or punished harshly, but he was transferred, first to Badaun, a city in present-day Uttar Pradesh, then a little later to Bahraich, another city in the same region. This was a way of removing him from power quietly. 6. Balban back in power. Balban was reappointed as the Naib deputy sultan. This made him second only to the sultan, but in reality, he had the real power. He quickly filled the top government jobs with his own trusted men. His old ally, the historian and judge Minhaj Siraj, was given back his old job as chief qazi, head Islamic judge. 7. Aftermath. Turkish nobles in full control. The Turkish nobles were now completely dominant in government. No one challenged their power after this. Their control continued until the end of Sultan Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud's reign. Final summary in one simple paragraph. In 1254, Rayhan, an Indian Muslim who became the real head of the Delhi Sultanate, was removed from power by angry Turkish nobles who didn't accept a non-Turk ruling them. They joined under Balban and marched to Delhi, forcing the weak Sultan Mahmud to remove Rayhan and bring back Balban as the powerful deputy ruler. Rayhan was quietly sent away to other cities, and Balban and the Turkish nobles became the true rulers behind the throne, keeping full control till the end of Mahmud's rule. Main themes: racism, class bias in medieval politics, Indian versus Turkish Muslims, struggle for real power behind the king, Balban's return to dominance, importance of noble support in a weak monarchy. Would you like this turned into comic strips with pictures and scenes next? Absolutely. Let's go deeper and even more detailed in the simplest words possible like a story made for a total beginner, with extra examples, character insights, and historical background. Think of this like a movie scene-by-scene breakdown. Full detailed story of Balban suppressing rebellions in Bengal, with all twists, turns, people, and meaning, told like a beginner-friendly story. Scene 1. Balban becomes the real power in Delhi. Sultan Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud was the king of Delhi, but he was not a strong ruler. He focused more on religion and prayers. The actual power in Delhi was held by his prime minister, Balban. Balban was very serious, strict, and wanted full discipline in the empire. Balban believed, a king must be strong. No one should dare to disobey the sultan. If governors act like kings, the empire will break. Scene 2. Bengal is out of control. Bengal is far from Delhi in the eastern part of India. It was a rich and powerful province and often had troublemakers. Governors sent to Bengal would often rebel and act like they were kings themselves. Example. Imagine a company where the manager of a faraway branch says, I won't listen to the CEO anymore. I will run this office like my own company. Scene 3. The first rebel, Tugan Khan. Tugan Khan was the governor of Bengal, sent by Delhi. Instead of following Delhi's orders, he started acting like a king. He ignored the sultan's commands. He even attacked another region, Awadh, like a king would. Balban thought, this is dangerous. If others will copy him. Scene 4. Tugan gets defeated and help. Tugan tried to by invading Jajnagar in Odisha. The local Hindu Raja of Jajnagar fought back and defeated Tugan. Now Tugan was in trouble. He had no help, so he did something shocking. He asked Delhi Balban for help. Balban thought, now I have a perfect reason to interfere. I will remove him and take Bengal back. Scene 5. Balban sends army to remove Tugan. Balban sent a strong army to Bengal. Led Amir Khan's real job was 1. Punish Tugan for disobedience. 2. Take control of Bengal for Delhi. The plan worked. Timur removed Tugan from power. What happened to Tugan? Balban didn't kill him. He gave him a smaller place to rule, Awadh. But Tugan died soon after, in 1246 CE. Scene 6. Bengal rebels again. Now it's Tughril Khan. After Tugan's death, Uzbeki Tughril Khan became governor. Around 1255, he also declared himself king. He started minting coins in his name. He made the khutbah, Friday sermon, be read in his name. These are things only real kings do. Why does this matter? In Islamic kingdoms, when a person issues coins and the Friday prayer is in their name, it means, I am the ruler now, not the Sultan of Delhi. Balban's reaction. Another rebel? I must crush him too. Scene 7. Tughril Khan dies in Assam. Tughril went on a military campaign to Kamarupa in Assam. In that campaign, he was killed in battle around 1257. After his death, Delhi took back control of Bengal. Balban felt, finally, Bengal is back under my control. But this peace would not last long. Scene 8. Yet another rebellion. Arslan Khan. In just 3 or 4 years, Bengal rebelled again. This time, a governor named Arslan Khan, who was ruling Kara, a different place, marched into Bengal. He captured the capital city, Lakhnaudi. Then he declared himself the independent ruler of Bengal. So once again, Delhi had no control over Bengal. Bengal was acting like its own kingdom. Scene 9. Bengal stays out of control till the end of Nasir-ud-Din's reign. From that point onward, Bengal continued to rule on its own. Balban couldn't fully bring Bengal back. The province remained independent until Sultan Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud died. Final summary. Super simple version. Point what happened. 1. Balban wanted total control over the empire. 2. Bengal's governor Tugan Khan started acting like a king. 3. Tugan lost a war and asked Delhi for help. 4. Balban used this chance to remove Tugan. 5. A new governor, Tughril Khan, also rebelled and declared himself king. 6. Tughril died in Assam, and Delhi regained Bengal. Soon after, Arslan Khan captured Bengal and ruled independently. 8. Bengal stayed out of Delhi's control till the end of Nasir-ud-Din's reign. Why this story matters in history? It shows how hard it was to rule a big empire in medieval India. Distance made it easy for governors to rebel. Even a strong, powerful man like Balban could not control Bengal permanently. It proves that the Sultanate was not fully united, especially in far provinces. Would you like a comic strip, character list, visual timeline, or interactive map next to understand this story even more easily? Absolutely. Let's go even deeper, step by step, into every important point of this event. I'll give you more details, easy comparisons, and mini-stories, so even a complete beginner can understand Balban's northwestern problems clearly, better than any textbook. What is the Northwest? Think of the Delhi Sultanate like a big kingdom. The Northwest is the region on the upper left corner of this kingdom. It includes Punjab, with cities like Lahore, Multan, important city near the Indus, Sharth, Sindh, modern-day southern Pakistan, Uch, between Multan and Sindh. This region was full of borders, close to Mongol land, full of ambitious officers, so it was always unstable and dangerous. Three main problems in the Northwest. Problem 1. Saifuddin Hasan Karlug, a local ruler at Banian. He wanted to make his own kingdom, just like a shop manager trying to become the owner. In 49, he attacked and captured Multan, but he could not keep it for long. Why? Possibly attacked by Delhi, possibly couldn't manage it, so he gave it up soon. Meaning, governors had no fear of Delhi. Problem 2. The Mongol menace. Mongols were the most feared warriors in Asia. Their leader was Hulagu Khan, brother of the famous Mongol Kublai Khan. They had already burned down Baghdad, center of Islam at that time. India's northwest border touched Mongol lands. Delhi always had to worry about Mongol attacks. Meaning, even if Delhi fought rebels, they couldn't ignore Mongols, like fighting fire with one hand while stopping a thief with the other. Problem 3. Disloyal officers. Officers in Punjab, Multan, and Sindh were greedy, power-hungry, two-faced. They made secret deals with Mongols and Delhi at the same time. They wanted to create their own small kingdoms. Meaning, Delhi's own team was not loyal. They were like teammates playing for the other side. The big threat, Kashlu Khan plus Kutluk Khan. Kashlu Khan was governor of Multan and Uch. He rebelled and joined Hulagu, becoming his vassal, like a junior king who takes orders from a bigger king. He formed a partnership with another rebel, Kutluk Khan of Awadh, eastern region. Together, they planned to attack Delhi. What did Balban do? Balban was sharp, strict, and always alert. He discovered their plan before they could act. He crushed their plot. We don't know all the details, but historians say it was due to his vigilance, watchfulness, and quick decision-making. Meaning, Balban had strong intelligence, spies, and he acted fast like a lion stopping a sneak attack. Temporary peace. Understanding with Mongols. After stopping the rebels, Balban also acted diplomatically. He made an agreement with Hulagu, the Mongol leader. Hulagu sent an envoy, a messenger, to Delhi. He promised Mongols will not invade Indian territory. This gave Balban some breathing space, but only for a while. More trouble. Lahore falls. In 1254, the Mongols captured Lahore, a major city in Punjab. Only the southeastern part of Punjab stayed under Delhi's control. The northwestern part came under Mongol influence. Maybe not direct rule, but under their power. Multan and Sindh still remained with Delhi, likely because Balban was extra active in sending forces and keeping a grip. Final, richest insight summary, topic, what happened, why it mattered. 1. Karlug's rebellion captured Multan in 1249, but gave it up soon, showed that regional rulers wanted to break away from Delhi. 2. Mongol pressure. Mongols always near the frontier. Delhi had to constantly watch the western border, couldn't focus elsewhere. 3. Officer betrayals. Governors joined hands with Mongols. Delhi's own loyalty system broke down. 4. Kashlu and Kutlug's plot. Plan to capture Delhi. Huge internal threat. Balban crushed it early. 5. Peace with Mongols. Hulagu sent messenger of peace. gave Delhi a short time to recover. 6. Loss of Lahore. Taken by Mongols in 1254, Delhi lost prestige and power in the northwest. 7. Only Asi Punjab safe, Multan, Sindh still in Delhi hands. Balban's efforts partially successful, but not perfect. Deep lesson. What does this teach us? Balban was fighting on many fronts, rebels, traitors, and Mongols. His job was not just ruling, but constant defending. Even a strong sultan like him couldn't keep everything together. The northwest was always the Achilles heel, weak spot of the Delhi Sultanate. Would you like me to now create a timeline of these events? A comic strip with visuals and labels? A map showing who controlled which parts? Let me know. Sure. Let's go even deeper, step by step, and explain every part of this story of Balban's campaigns against Hindu chiefs and the end of Sultan Nasruddin Mahmud's reign in the most detailed, simplest, and clearest way possible. Full, deepest explanation, step by step. Part 1. Balban's big problem. Hindu chiefs wanted freedom. What was happening? After years of Turkish rule, many Hindu kings and chiefs wanted to be free again. These chiefs ruled small kingdoms in North India, like Doab, Mewat, Ranthambore, Kalinjar, Gwalior. They stopped obeying the Sultan of Delhi. This was very dangerous for the Delhi Sultanate, because if these small kingdoms became independent, the empire would break into pieces. Balban knew he had to act fast and strongly, or the whole Sultanate would collapse. Part 2. What is the Doab? Doab means the land between two rivers. In this case, it was the land between Ganga and Yamuna. This was very fertile, meaning good for farming, so many powerful chiefs ruled parts of it. But now, these chiefs had stopped obeying Delhi. Balban's action in Doab. Balban marched there with his army. He had to fight many battles for many months. One of the most powerful Hindu chiefs was in the Yamuna Valley. Historian Minhaj calls him Dalaki wa Malaki, meaning unclear. But another historian, H.C. Ray, says he was Trilokya Varma, a king from the Chandela dynasty, a Rajput clan. What did Balban do? Balban crushed this chief's army. He killed many men. He took women and children as slaves. This was very cruel, but Balban did it to send a message. Do not rebel against Delhi. Part 3. Fighting the people of Mewat. Where is Mewat? Mewat is a hilly region just south of Delhi. The people here were known for being rebellious and difficult to control. What did Balban do? He personally led expeditions, military attacks into Mewat. Just like in Doab, he used brutality and fear. He burned villages, punished rebels, and killed many to make the region quiet. Part 4. The War for Ranthambore. What is Ranthambore? Ranthambore was a huge, strong fort in modern-day Rajasthan. It was ruled by a powerful Hindu chief. Balban's actions. Balban led many expeditions against this fort. It took him several tries before he finally captured it. This shows how strong the Hindu resistance was and how determined Balban was to crush it. Part 5. Attacking Kalinjar, 1247. Kalinjar was another famous fort of the Chandela Rajputs, same dynasty as before. In 1247, Balban led an expedition here because the local chief had risen in revolt. Again, Balban defeated him and restored Delhi's control. Part 6. Expedition to Gwalior, 1251. In 1251, Balban led an expedition against the Hindu ruler of Gwalior, another important fort city. He attacked and punished the ruler, but did not try to rule the full region. Like before, he just punished rebels and returned. Note: why didn't Balban rule all of central India? Even though Balban conquered or punished places like Ranthambore, Kalinjar, and Gwalior, he did not set up Turkish officers or rule in the entire regions of Malwa, central India. His goal was to punish rebels and make sure they don't rebel again. He didn't try to expand the Sultanate into deep central India. Part 7. The end of Sultan Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud. Who was he? Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud was the official sultan, but Balban controlled all the power behind the scenes. Mahmud was more interested in religion and worship, not in ruling. What happened at the end? We don't know much about his last years because the best history book, Tabqat-i-Nasiri, ends around 1260. The next book, Tarikh-i-Firoz Shahi, starts after Balban becomes sultan. His death, Mahmud died in 1265. He had no sons. After his death, Balban finally became official sultan of Delhi. Final takeaway summary. All key points in one view. Event, what happened Sultan of Delhi. Revolts, Hindu chiefs wanted independence from Delhi. Doab, Balban crushed Trilokyavarma, possibly, killed many, enslaved others. Mewat, Balban punished the rebels south of Delhi. After many attempts, he conquered this fort. Kalinjar, 1247, another Chandela chief defeated. Gwalior, 1251, punished but didn't establish full control. No rule in Malwa, he didn't try to rule all of central India. Religious ruler, died in 1265, had no sons. Balban becomes sultan. After Mahmud's death, Balban officially ruled Delhi. Let me know if you want a timeline, map, or storyboard comic of this part 2. I'll be happy to make it.